All right, welcome. Just want to say welcome to the training. This right here is going to be the content marketing module. This is a strategy that I've implemented for the past couple of years, especially when I did not have money for paid advertising. Now, understand, no matter where you're at in your business, content marketing will help you and will serve you. Now, at first, it may be a little outside of your comfort zone, but once you start and you make this a habit, it will return massive dividends over time, but this is something you will have to commit to. So first off, if you don't know me, my name's Rob Frazier, spent 12 years in the Marine Corps. I got out, basically bumbled around online and had my breakout year in 2015. I ended up paying off 6 figures of debt within 9 months marketing online, and a big part of my strategy was content marketing. Also, another one of these modules within the Power Lead System, Master Traffic Institute, I teach a course in solo ads. And what I've done was these two strategies that I'm going to be laying out in this video, the content marketing, and my other course, the solo ads. These two strategies is basically what I've done to pay off that 6 figures of debt and still have enough money for my living expenses and still scale my business. And it's something that anyone can do. I started scratch, busted, broke. Now, usually when people come online, they start and they either have a lot of time and no money, or they have a lot of money and no time. So both of these strategies work hand in hand. So that being said, we're just going to dive right into it. I will basically just go straight forward, as much content as I can pack in. Now, understand that this strategy, there have been a couple of things that Google has done in the past to discourage people from different practices. A couple of years ago, you could just throw an article online. It didn't have to make sense. It could have poor grammar. It could just be jumbled all over. And you could rank that article if you just stuffed keywords within the content of that article. Now, Google is a lot smarter than that and will shut you down if you're caught doing that. And Google knows. They have advanced algorithms. A couple of different things I'm going to get into, general rules, and then I'm going to go into the lesson. The lesson is really, really simple. And when we get into it, it will take about 10 minutes, but there's quite a few things I want to cover before that. And also understand that this strategy is evergreen. It works with articles, blog posts, YouTube videos, you name it. So all of that being said, the number one, if you're taking notes, number one thing you want to focus on is engagement. That is the number one thing you want all of your content. And when I say content, from here to the rest of the training, content means videos, blog posts, articles, social media posts, anything you put out there. The number one thing you want is engagement. More than anything else, more than your keywords, more than meta tags, more than any of that. You want engagement. Now, understand that during this course, it's going to be very simple, very straightforward. We're not going to get into backlinks and meta tags and this and that because it really is not that important, believe it or not. The number one thing Google, and when I say Google, I mean all of the search engines. However, about 90% of the folks out there always go to Google first rather than Yahoo, Bing, or anything else. So people, 90% of the time will go to Google and they'll type in something. Now, your goal is to put out content to engage people, to bring them into your world. And that's really about it. So what kind of content would you put out there to get this engagement? That right there is a question I just posed. Now think about this on the other side. When somebody is looking for how to make money or how to collect leads, they're typing in different questions or they're wanting different questions answered. Now, as the content marketer, it's up to you to put your content out there in a way to answer those questions. So what I've done in the beginning, my very first piece of content I wrote, and also understand I'm gonna try to keep this generic for the rest of this training, but I will use the Power Lead System as an example. When we get into my actual example here, it's going to be something totally non-related to our industry, just to highlight some points. So going back, the number one thing people want is questions answered, period. Above everything else, people come to Google or Yahoo or YouTube to learn how to do something, why to do something, why, whatever, who, what, where, when, why, how, that kind of stuff. So as the content marketer, you're the one who's going to put out content to engage people, and what you're simply going to do is answer questions. Okay, Rob, what questions am I going to answer? Well, just think about this. Everyone is starting a journey online, right? And an other related note, reality TV ties in. Reality TV is some of the most highest viewed programming on television because people are voyeuristic by nature. They like seeing what other people are doing. So you take advantage of that. You tell your story and you answer questions. So you should have number one on your paper, engagement. And then underneath that, you put a little A and a B, and then you put your story and answer questions. When you tell your story and when you answer questions, that right there eventually is going to take care of that engagement. But just think about this. Think about this as a new person coming in. The reason you're watching this video is because you want questions answered about content marketing, right? And that's the only reason why you're going to watch the rest of this video, because if you want to know about solo ads, you know that this isn't the video for you. If you want to learn about the gift of gab or Facebook marketing, this isn't the video for you. You see what I'm saying? So the only reason you would watch this video is because it's answering your question. It's the same thing with marketing. People are coming to a source, your content, to find out answers to questions that they have that you're going to answer for them, right? And you're going to mix in your story to create that engagement. So you're going to answer questions and tell your story. Answer questions, tell your story. Answer questions, tell your story. And if you just do those two things alone, you're going to get so much engagement. Now, think about this. Have you ever posted something on Facebook? And also understand, Facebook, Google, all of these companies that people think are independent or they don't understand how they work, they all work off of engagement. If you put something, if you put a video of a cat or your pet or your kids, people will like, people will comment, and you'll get hundreds and hundreds of likes or hundreds of comments, or depending on how big your social network is. You may not get hundreds, you may get 50s, you may get tens, you may get tens of likes, and you may get tens of comments, but understand you'll get a lot more engagement than if you just posted out your business link. I mean, try it. If you're watching this, and if you're promoting something online, if you tried something like that, you posted your business link out there, you see how much engagement you get, and then post something about your kids or your pet or something, or, you know, one of these viral videos that's going around. Post something like that, and odds are you'll get more engagement. What happens is when people start liking and commenting on that post, the Facebook algorithm will have more people see that one post. And it's the same way with YouTube. It's the same way with articles, blog posts, press releases, no matter what. It's all the same thing, and it's all based off of engagement. And the funny thing is, you can do everything wrong when it comes to scientifically putting an article together. When it comes to, you know, you can have wrong grammar, you could stutter in your video, you can have poor lighting like I do, probably, if you can see in my little screen here. But if you're answering a question and you're telling a story and you're giving value, answering questions is giving value, telling your story is giving value, people will engage. It's just that simple. So just understand that the number one thing you want is engagement. A lot of people think that if they do tricks, if they just stuff their, you know, in the bottom of their YouTube video, they slam it with a bunch of keywords. I'm going to just use power lead system, lead lightning, power lead system this, power lead system that, how to work power lead system, how to do this, power lead system scan. Well, you know, you've seen those keywords. Or, you know, if you just do a search on YouTube, go in the video descriptions, and you'll see this eventually. Some of those tricks used to work. But if you're going after engagement and you're telling your story, that's going to have long-lasting effects. What happens is when a new trick or a new gimmick comes out, and people will run and they'll apply it to their video, or they'll do the trick, and it'll work for a little bit. But after a while, Google, YouTube, Yahoo, all of these companies, they get smart after a while, and their computers will not rank your information. And it's the same thing with duplicate content. A lot of people used to just copy and paste. You cannot do that, because the things that the search engines want is original content, original clean content. Now, if you really think about it, there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, what content is really original? I mean, it's all, when you look at a lot of the marketing, it's all usually regurgitated information with a different spin on it. I mean, really start looking at marketing information. You will start to see that it's kind of the same thing over and over and over again, but it'll have a new package, or it'll have something shiny. You see what I'm saying? So just understand that. But two, also know that the search engines want original, clean content. Same thing for YouTube. When I say search engines, Google, YouTube, Yahoo, Bing, it doesn't matter. You apply these concepts. This is going to be like evergreen method that you can use with everything, and you could tie everything in. And also understand that you don't have to be stuck to one style of content. You know, what I did in the beginning, I would put out one video and one article every single day. Lately, I just really do a lot of video, but for me, in the beginning, it was one article, one video, and I would move on, and I do that every single day. Now, I got about 1,500 videos, or I'm sorry, no, I got around 1,800 videos out there, and probably around 3,500 articles. But understand that this was something that I've done over time. Another thing about content, when you put it together the right way, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. I mean, this is not a large lesson. It's just getting people to apply it. When you put content together right, it stays out there on the internet forever. I mean, just think, if you just took one video or one piece of content. So say day 1, you put a video. Day 2, you put an article. Day 3, you put a blog post, and you just did that for a year. At the end of the year, you get 365 pieces of content pointing back to you. See what I'm saying? And you could just double that and triple that. And then 5 years later, you'll have so much content that you're getting constant and continuous leads. And that's basically what's happening to me right now. I don't have to use a lot of paid traffic because my content that I already paid my time for is out there working for me. You see what I'm saying? And it's real easy to put this content together. Now, the number one thing, engagement. How do you get engagement? Answer questions, tell your story. A couple of different things, and then I'll actually go into how you will bring this whole thing together. But all of this is just stuff that's going to apply to your content marketing strategy. You're going to tell your story. It doesn't matter if you're not a success. It doesn't matter if you're not making thousands of dollars a week. It doesn't matter if you just got started. You tell your story where you are at. And what I mean by tell your story, you document. When you look at a blog is a shortened version of web log, which is basically a log of somebody documenting something. So just understand, a lot of people every single day, approximately, there's at least 200,000 people every day. I'm going to say this again so it sinks in. There's 200,000 plus people looking for opportunities to make money online every single day. You cannot, there is no such thing as saturation. There's no such thing as, there is so much abundance and people out there looking for these opportunities. So it's up to us to put out the content to reach those people, especially if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of money. And content doesn't take a lot of time either. So backing up, most blogs are web blogs, or some people have coined the term vlog, VLOG, a video log. Just start where you're at. If you're working a job, I tell my people all the time, look, document it. Talk about going to work. This is something I used to do. I used to take out a phone, and I would be in a parking lot of school. When I first got out of Marine Corps, I was using a GI Bill to go to school, and I was just using a GI Bill for money. I would get to the parking lot, whip out the cell phone, and I would talk about, hey, Rob Frazier here, I'm about to go into class. I came across this business I've been working in aside. I spent 12 years in the Marine Corps. I'm working this business so that one day I don't have to work at a job. The reason why I'm getting out of the Marine Corps is because I suffered a pretty devastating divorce, and I just needed to do something different with my life. So if you're interested in what I'm doing, in the description, there's going to be a link to my business. Click it, check it out. Name's Rob Frazier. You'll get an email from me. Looking forward to working with you. We'll see you in the next video. And that's it. That took like 30 seconds. And also, I know I'm zipping through this content here, but watch this video multiple times. Watch this video multiple times and take notes, because I'm jamming as much information as I can put in here. And this is realistic input that the average person can do. The biggest thing, there's so many people out there who who have big names for themselves, but the average person can't do what they do. That's why I'm big on putting out content. Connect with your type of person. Again, I spent 12 years in the Marine Corps. I used to know a couple of recruiters, and I would always talk to them. I said, yeah, I would like to be a recruiter. I did the drill instructor. Believe it or not, I was a drill instructor for a couple years in the Marines. So there's two paths. You can either go recruiting or you go DI, drill instructor. I went drill instructor. A lot of people I know went recruiting. And I would ask them, I say, hey, if you're antisocial, would this be a good job for you? Because as a drill instructor, you don't have to be Mr. Social. You just follow the schedule, yell at the recruits, and follow the training schedule, and that's it. Whereas the recruiter, you got to talk to people, you got to generate interest, you got to follow up with people, all of the same things we do here in online marketing. And one guy said something to me that stuck with me. He said, you recruit who you are. I mean, just think about that for a second. You recruit who you are. And this applies to your content. You put out content, you're going to connect with other people who are in your situation looking for a way out. You are going to connect with other people in your situation looking for a way out. And it's just that simple. You are going to connect with those people. When I was in that 6 figures of debt, I put it out there. I told people, look, I got $93,000 to pay off this debt. This is where I currently am. This is how I'm paying it off. This is the business that I'm using. Click my link. When I hit $60,000 to pay it off, I said, this is where I'm at. And I have these actual videos. If you're watching this and you're connected with the Power Lead system, come find me. I will send you these exact videos, because some people think you have to have made it first. That's not the case. You could just be on your way up and still attract people into your business. And that right there is where the rubber meets the road. How does this apply to content? This is what your content is going to consist of. Your story, where you're at, what you're doing. So you talk about where you're at. One time I did an event. I said, hey, a lot of people make these capture pages, make thousands of bucks a week. Screw that. Make a capture page that say, hey, discover how I made my first $50 in a week. I would opt into that because I want to find out what they're doing. And it's different. Too many people are out there trying to put false fronts out there. Be yourself. The more yourself you are, the more yourself you be, the more people you're going to attract to you. I mean, just look at me. I'm sure the other instructors in this Master Traffic Institute have slick PowerPoints and, cool presentations and cool pictures, and I don't have any of that. I just have a raw video of me in an extra room. I got a newborn kid in the other room. I'm trying to keep it down, but I'm still putting out content. I'm just myself. This is who I am. I put myself out there. People are either going to accept it or not. And it's just that simple. So when you understand this whole mindset and mind frame, engagement, tell your story, everything else is just going to be cake. Because like I said, putting the content together, it's super, super easy. And when you just follow the simple steps, and we're going to get to them in a little bit, but understand that this whole first half, I'm grooming you to tell your story and focus on engagement. So once you tell your story, you just document where you're at. Whenever you generate your first 10 leads, do a video or a blog post or an article or a social media post. Whenever you get your first 100 leads, same thing, do a video, blog post, social media, share it on all your social media posts. Whenever you get your first sign up, same thing. Whenever you get your 10th sign up, same thing. Whenever you get your first $100 week, same thing. First $200 week, same thing. First $500 week, $1,000 week, first $1,000 day, same thing. And I say those numbers because I've been through that process and I've done the same thing. You start where you're at, you tell your story, you answer questions, you get some results, you tell your story, you talk about those results. And what's going to happen is that those little results are going to get you more results to talk about. And then you're going to tell that story. And then that story is going to get you more results. And then you're going to tell that story. And then that's just going to keep ballooning up. And you still answer questions. One thing I love doing is whenever you start, you're going to get notifications from wherever your content is. So-and-so left a comment on your video, or so-and-so left a comment on your blog, especially if you do YouTube and people leave comments underneath your video. Even the haters respond to everybody. And the more responses and interactions you go back and forth, the more that engagement is going to push your video to the top, even if you can't SEO to save your life. I can't SEO to save my life, but if you go to YouTube and you search a few different keywords, you'll find my name at the top. I'm not going to talk about the details because this is generic training, but understand engagement wins over everything else. Even your haters. You know, the funny thing is about haters, when you respond to a hater, they love to tell you everything you're doing wrong. They love to tell you why it's a scam. They love to provide you with tons and tons of wordy comments to boost up your engagement. Respond to the haters, but also respond to the people asking questions. Another thing, when somebody leaves a question on your video or blog post, you answer the question there, and you take that, and that's your idea for the next video or the next blog post or the next article. You see what I'm saying? So you're not coming up with all these ideas yourself. In the beginning, you will. But once you get a comment, respond to it, see if there's a question. If there's a question, you take that, you put it into another video. And then you take that next one and do the same thing. And people will come out of the woodworks eventually, and they'll start asking you questions, and you'll get to a point to where I am, to where you cannot keep up with all of the questions, and you'll have content ideas for the next million years. Yeah, you won't even be able to live that long. You see what I'm saying? So understand that. If you haven't got anything from my whole thing, hopefully I beat this idea in your head. Engagement, tell your story. That is number one. Just telling your story, you're going to get engagement. And then when I say engagement, answer questions. Answer questions. If you have a question, do the research, find the answer, and then put that in the video. So, for example, how to use the Power Lead system to promote any business. You do that research, you find the answer, you put that in a video or blog post, and you start from there. Say, hey, my name's Rob Frazier. I came across the Power Lead system. I found out that you can use this business to promote any business you're promoting online. This is what I've learned. You can log in a back office, blah, blah, blah. Hey, if you came across my video, if you're interested in using the Power Lead system to promote your business, click the link below. Also, check back and I'll answer your questions or whatever. So if you have any questions, leave them underneath this video, leave them on this blog post, and just move on to the next one. Now, it's not hard to come up with those snippets after you get going. The thing is, you have to get going. So the number 2 thing, just do it. Number 1, engagement. First thing you focus on. A, answer questions. B, your story. And then big number 2, just do it. My videos, shaky cell phone camera, poor light. I don't have flashy pictures to come up on my YouTube video before. I don't have a flashy call to action. I just straightforward marketing. And that's how I've been able to crawl myself out of the hole. Period. I nothing flashy, nothing sexy. You know, some people may get sick and tired of my gravelly, raspy voice, but I just keep moving forward, keep putting out content, keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep answering questions, keep telling my story, and I just keep doing it. And that's it. Just keep doing it. So if you're watching this, just as soon as this is over, whip out the phone, crank out a video. Who cares? It doesn't have to be sexy. It could be crappy. It doesn't matter. It could be grainy. It could be whatever. Just do it. There's a marketer I know who's in another company making lots of cash, and one of his videos, he was in a dark room, and you can't even see the guy's face. And it's just like, he didn't turn on a light, just have his own little webcam, and it's in a dark room. It can't even see his face, but he's doing it. There's no excuses. So, number one, engagement, your story, answer questions. Number two, just do it. Now, what I'm going to talk about here in this next half, we're actually going to get into the structure of your content. Now, I'm going to Google search an article, but the same thing applies to videos as well. Articles, press releases, blog posts, Tumblr posts. I think it's called Tumblr. I think it's just like a reblogging platform. Video, social media, it's all the same. So the article I picked, and it's pretty generic, and you'll see. So feng shui. As you see, I just typed it into Google. It doesn't matter if you're in a feng shui, if you're not in a feng shui. This is just an example that I picked because it highlights a lot of points that I'm talking about. So you see here, the very first spot that comes up here, it's thespruce.com. And you can do this yourself to get your content up there and ranked. All you have to, and to really understand my training here, all you have to do is just study different blog posts and articles you see on a number one spot. Maybe not the number one spot if they paid for it, but this is a number one organic spot. Now, there's a couple of different places up here. You know, Wikipedia, obviously, because they have tons of content, but I'm going to pick the number one spot here. I just Google search feng shui, and look what came up front. 7 steps to feng shui in your home. Now, again, hopefully I'm not turning people off. You know, I don't believe in feng shui or whatever, or if you do, that's not the point. Just look at how the content is structured, period. Now, remember what I said. Answer questions. How to create good feng shui in your home. That right there is a question that somebody will be out there searching for. Same thing applies. YouTube videos, articles, social media posts, blog posts, all the same. So what it is an article, and I'm going to just tell you the most important parts. When you scroll down here, you're going to see a post right here. Getting started with feng shui. Now, just look at this. This right here is hyperlinked, right? So before I really delve into this, understand that when you start your content strategy, you're going to have a plan. You're not just going to be putting out content all over the place. You're going to put out content, and you're kind of, again, going back to the beginning. You want to include your story, right? You want to talk about where you're at. So if every single day you're documenting, you're telling a little bit piece of your story, you're going to put out a continuous chain of content, right? A continuous chain of content. If you don't get anything else, pay attention right here. The World Wide Web. Just think about that. World Wide Web. It's a big web of information, right? So just think about this. Here's an article, and it has a link to feng shui. So keep in mind, this blog is called The Spruce. So you come down here. Matter of fact, we'll just use your home to help you get started with good feng shui in your home. What do you think is going to happen when I click your home? I'm just going to click it. I click your home, and it goes to another article on the same blog, Signs of a Good Feng Shui House. You scroll down, and I'm going to just use this as another example. Good Feng Shui energy. I'm going to click on that. Feng Shui, good energy. The benefits of, I'm not going to get into that. But you see that? And what is it? It's another blog, another post on the same blog. Now you scroll down. Now remember what I said about World Wide Web? What do you think these articles are creating, being all linked together on the same post? So come down here. I'm going to click on this word, chi. Where do you think that word is going to go? Do you think it's going to go to another post on this same blog talking about that keyword? Of course, The Spruce. And this is something I've just pulled up, and just look at it. This is the #1 spot. This works for videos, blog posts, anything. So the thing is, just think about this. I said you have to tell your story. Your story is ongoing. Even if you're doing the same thing, talk about it and answer questions. So, for example, using the Power Lead system, how I'm using the Power Lead system to promote my business online while freeing myself from a job. Then you write that article, and within that article, you already have a plan for your next article. How to use the Power Lead system to promote your business. So you write your first article. I'm using the Power Lead system to promote my business and free myself from a job. And within that article, you write your original content. Original content. If you're writing articles, shoot for 500 words. If you're writing articles, shoot for 500 words. Put a little asterisk here. If you're writing articles, shoot for 500 words. If you're writing articles, shoot 500 words. I'm using the Power Lead system to promote my business so I can free myself from a job. Why? Because I hate my job, I hate my boss, blah, 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 blah. Just tell your story. Just talk. Be yourself. Just use the computer as your sounding board and get it out. Use it as therapy. Get all this crap here out. Who cares if your grammar sucks? Who cares if you can't spell? You got the proofreader programs on your computer to fix all that. Just get it out there. Put it in an article. And then already have a plan for what your next article is going to be. Just like here. You come up with the article, you come down here, triangular shapes. I'm going to click it, and it's going to go to another post on the same blog talking about those triangular shapes. And what it is just a constant wheel or a constant web, and then at every single new article you're going to put, it's just going to add another string, another web, I don't know what you want to call it, another string of the web together, and it's just going to keep building on itself and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm going to tell you some other things to do here in a bit. But once you get that concept down, that is what you want to do. And It's when you're first starting, it's going to be real simple. But once you get going, you're gonna find so many different ways to link your content together. And I'm gonna tell you what I simply do is I have my first article written, and then I'll already have in mind what my next article is going to be. So I'll write my first article here. Say, I didn't write this article, but I'm using this as an example. I have this article written. I come down here. What's my next article going to be? I'm going to talk about feng shui elements. That's going to be my next article. So I'm going to find a way to include that in my first article. I write my first article. I post it. I have my first blog. I post it online. Now, the next day, I come back and I write my second article. So say my first article was how to use feng shui shapes. I wrote it. I posted this online. It's published. I share it on all my social media. Now it's day 2. I wrote an article about feng shui elements. So I wrote my article about feng shui elements. And I'm going to, in fact, open this in a new screen. So I wrote this article about feng shui elements. I go back to my first post. And I find where I used feng shui elements within the text. And I put a link. I put a link to this second article that's already freshly published. Right? And then in this article, I'm going to continue that into the next article or blog post or video or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Now, that framework right there alone will do so much for your content. And just think about this. The bigger your web, the more you're going to rank. If you're all about engagement, telling your story, and you have a big connection like this going, you're going to go to the top. And it doesn't matter what Google comes out with, because your algorithm, what you're doing is what Google wants, period. It doesn't matter. This isn't a trick. This is how content is structured. This is how the search engines work. You don't put out individual blog posts. See, this is what happens. People put out one blog post all by itself. They do meta tags, they do backlinks, they do this and that, and it doesn't rank because it's one article. When you have articles connected and you have a big web working together, that is where you're going to get your rankings from. Now, what I do, if this is my own blog, what I do, I will have 3 articles already planned and written, right? This is taking this strategy to the next level. What I would do is I would have 3 articles written. So for example, why I'm using the Power Lead system, how to use the Power Lead system, tips on promoting the Power Lead system. And I have those articles written in this manner. I have my title. I have it at least 500 words written out. And I'm not using my own personal example because I do have other businesses out there. And again, this is just a generic example. This can apply to anything. It doesn't matter. And the bigger your web, the higher you're going to rank. And not a lot of people are doing this. So you write your first article. At the bottom in your article, you have a link to the next article that you're going to write tomorrow. And then you have a link to your capture page. So you have your article. Within that article, you have a link to the next article you're going to write. Then you have a link to your capture page. Now, you come over to Article 2. Article 2 is going to have a link to your first article. You're going to point them back to each other. What I do is, if I can't find a way to word in what my previous article is, I would do something like this: continue reading. And then I'd have what the title of the first article was. And then I'd put it here. You see what I'm saying? Or at the bottom of that second article. So basically you have article 1, you have a link to your capture page, and you have a link to article 2. Now you go to article 2. You're on article 2. At some point you're going to have a link back to article 1, and then a link to article 3, and then a link to your capture page. Then you move to article 3. You're going to have a link to article 2. You're going to have a link to article 4. Then you're going to have a link to your capture page. Then you're on article 4. You're going to have a link to article 3. You're going to have a link to article 5. Keep my numbers straight. You're going to have a link to your capture page. This is where we get sexy with it. On article 5, you're going to have a link to article 4. You're going to have a link to your capture page. Then you're going to have a link to a YouTube video. Aha. Then you're on YouTube. You have your video. In the description of your video, you reword what your video is about, 1 or 2 paragraphs. In your video, another asterisk, another hint, 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 pay attention. You have your video description. You put 2 or 3 paragraphs together on what the video is, summarizing it using different words. You're not printing out the transcript or anything like that. Then in that video description, you're going to have a link to article, I think we left off on 5, a link to article 5, a link to your capture page, and a link to your next YouTube video. So that's video 2, which is going to be linked back to video 1, which is linked back to video article 5. You see what I'm saying? And then it's linked to your capture page, and then it's linked to the next video. And that right there creates a web, a web for the World Wide Web. And all your content starts working together instead of individual pieces all by itself. It has weight, there's strength in numbers. Same concept. Now, one last thing. It doesn't have to stop there. You have your article. You can write an article, link to the previous, link to your capture page, link to the next video. You got your video, link to the previous article, link to your capture page, linked to a LinkedIn article, your LinkedIn article, link to your YouTube, link to your capture page, link to your press release. Your press release linked to your LinkedIn article, I think we're on, link to your capture page, link to your blog. That blog, same structure, linked to the previous, link to your capture page, link to the next. Just understand this, write this down. Link to previous, link to your capture page, link to next, to the next piece of content. So link to previous, link to your capture page, link to next. Your first piece is just going to be all by itself because you have to start somewhere. That first piece is just going to be linked to the next and linked to your capture page. And then from there on, everything connected. You could do articles, blog posts, press releases, and then everything all over the place is all connected, all pointing at each other, and is creating your own personal web. And the bigger your web gets, the more you're going to outrank all those other people doing the same thing. So hopefully you got some value out of this. Watch this 2, 3, 4 times. Reach out to me. Reach out to the staff at Power Lead System. Get in the Power Lead System Facebook group. This strategy works. Now I can go into more as to why this works, but that right there was just the absolute where the rubber meets the road. You don't need to do backlinks. You don't need to do this, do that. Just follow that structure. Engagement, story, answer questions. Just do it and link to previous, link to your capture page, link to next. If you're writing articles, 500 words or more, if we're doing YouTube video, do a YouTube video. Then in the description, 2 paragraphs roughly about what the video was about, and follow that same structure. Keep on going, and sooner or later you'll be at the top. So, going to pause the recording. Hopefully you got some value. If you have any questions, reach out, and we will see you in that solo ad training.